Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica. Today we are going to be doing a spring quilt show and I have a new sale that's coming soon. So stay tuned for all those details. So every year we do an annual sale. It is going to be the week of May 22nd through May 26th this year. So I just wanted to let all of you guys know so that you could plan ahead. We only do the sale once a year. We do not do sales any other time other than at the end of May. Everything in my store will be on sale. We put it on sale at 30% off, but if you purchase 2 or more qualifying items, you actually get an extra 10% off. So that's a total of 40% off. So you definitely want to take advantage of it. The 2 or more qualifying items are usually just 2 items from the same category. So you could buy 2 items from like the preschool curriculum section or 2 items from the quilt patterns section, and those will qualify you for an extra 10% off. Again, the sale is only valid for 1 week, so May 22nd through May 26th. It ends at midnight Mountain Standard Time on the 26th. We don't ever extend the sale. We only offer it this one time of year, so you're definitely going to want to take advantage of it. You don't need a coupon code or anything like that. You can just go to my store and you'll see that all of those items are already marked on sale. And then if you add, like I said, 2 or more items, you'll see that when you go in to complete your order, you'll see that extra 10% coming off of your order. So make sure to take advantage of the sale. I will put a link to my store below this, or you can just go to store.confessionsofahomeschooler.com. So that's all of the sale info. So don't forget to mark your calendars for the 22nd of May. Let's go ahead and jump right in because today we're going to be doing a spring quilt trunk show. Now, the last time I did a trunk show, I did it outside and I actually fell getting back up onto my patio and I broke my elbows. So let's hope that everything goes a little bit smoother this time. And before we get started with this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You can also like this video if you like it, or you can hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. All right, let's dive right in with our spring quilt trunk show. I'm going to start off with one of my newest quilt patterns. You guys have all seen this. This is called Lucky Layer Cake. It was a free tutorial here on YouTube. And here is what the pattern looks like. It's really nicely written, full color pattern. It's got step-by-step graphic illustrations in it, so it's really easy to put together. And this is definitely a beginner-friendly quilt. This quilt finishes at 77 by 77, so it's a really good size quilt. You can, of course, alter the size of this really easily because it's a single block quilt, meaning that you make one quilt block in a variety of different colors and put them all together. So it makes it really easy to adjust how many blocks you create to then adjust the final layout of your quilt and its size. So this one is really fun. You guys have been loving it. We've been flying through these patterns, so thank you so much for all your support on it. I did want to kick it off with Lucky Layer Cake because I think the colors are so pretty and it's really springy and summery to me. The fabric I used on this was a line called Nantucket by Bonnie and Camille. Actually, this might have been her first line by Camille Ross Kelly for Moda, and it's a beautiful line. I believe this line is sold out now, and I'm probably going to be saying that on a lot of these quilts because unfortunately, you know, a lot of these have been made over the years, and once a fabric line is out of print, it's out of print. But those designers are usually still designing, and you can get something similar that you still like going forward. So I know that she has a new line called Dwell. The blues in that line are identical to the blues in this Nantucket Summer line. As a matter of fact, the border that I used on this quilt was also from her Dwell line because I couldn't get any more of the Nantucket Summer either. I did a really cute navy binding on this, and then of course I added a label on the back. This label is from Sweetwater and it's just perfect for this quilt. I do have a video here showing you how to label the backs of your quilts if you like this style of label as well. It's really easy, and I always forget my labels, and so I always add them kind of at the end. And so if you have some quilts that you haven't labeled but you want to and you like this style, check out that video because I think that'll really help you out. My next spring quilt in probably one of my favorites. As a matter of fact, I want to make this again. I have a new line that I think would be perfect for it. This is called New Chicks on the Block, and actually one of you named this quilt. It was the best name, and so of course I used it. So thank you so much for putting in your suggestions. I absolutely loved that name. The New Chicks pattern looks like this. I actually used a poppy cotton, variety of poppy cotton fabrics actually. This one only finishes at 50 by 50, so it's a really quick and easy quilt to put together. It's perfect for a wall hanging or to toss over a chair or a couch. But also, again, you're still making a bunch of chicks, so you could easily make this quilt larger than what I did. It features a cute little sashing as well. It has like little, I was trying to make it look like a chicken coop. I don't know if I achieved that, but I kind of thought I did. And it's really easy as well. It's just a 9-patch sashing, and then you add some little extra points to your blocks. And so it makes it have this little kind of, I don't know, chicken coop feel to it. The chickens have adorable little pinwheels inside. They're very easy to piece. The little beaks and the, what's that thing that goes on the top of the chicken? I forget what it's called. Those are a little bit smaller pieces, but they're not hard at all. It's all standard piecing. So very, very easy. Again, my patterns are all super clearly written. I have graphic illustrations and written instructions for every step of the way. So if you're new to quilting, this is actually a great quilt to start out with. It's not very big, and it's super easy and beginner friendly. And even though it's so easy and not very large, it still is one of my favorite quilts. And I have a new fabric line that I think would be really fun in this, so I might actually remake this in a newer line as well. And by the way, make sure you're following me on social media, on Instagram or Facebook. I'll put those right here on the screen and link below, so that you don't miss out any of this, because I will also be sharing more information about the sale as it goes live. And of course, all of these quilts, and if I remake anything, will also be there as well. Next, we're going to take a look at my June truck of the month and house of the month, because of course those are springy patterns. So here is the June truck of the month. This was our sew along from last year. Well, not really a sew along, we just did a block of the month, I guess you could call it. And I did these adorable vintage trucks, which you're going to see here in just a minute in my vintage spring quilt. So here was our June truck of the month, and I used a bunch of Lori Holt prints. This is a variety of prints, and even on the background I used this cheater print, but it looks like I pieced this together, but I didn't. It's just all one print. So little surfboard and some beach balls for our June truck, and this might be a little more springy or summery than springy, but I thought it was springy. And then here is a sneak peek of our June house of the month. And I mean, look at how cute it is. It's got that little cherry quilt with the bird on top. It's so cute. These fabrics were kind of a variety. I have some Lella Boutique in there. The house was Corioder, and the leaves are from Corioder, and I think my binding might be from Fig Tree, and then my backing is actually a Bonnie and Camille print called Happy Go Lucky that I've had in my stash for ages. And since we're showing the house of the month, I thought I might as well just show you the cross stitch house of the month for June as well. So isn't that adorable and so much fun? And if you just joined into my channel and you don't know what the truck of the month or the house of the month is, they are monthly patterns that I do release. The trucks are all released. They are from last year, so you can get January through December of the trucks. The quilt patterns, June is actually, that's kind of a little sneak peek for you. June is coming soon. It will be released on May 15th. So those get released on the 15th of every month. So stay tuned for those. I do show them here on YouTube. And of course, you can always just stop by my store on the 15th and they should be live for you there as well. All right, my next quilt, and that's the one right here behind me, is Vintage Spring. This might be one of my most popular quilt patterns. This one is so much fun to make. The design looks like this. It features these cute little vintage trucks with flowers and watering cans in the back. This one finishes at 73 by 76, so it's a pretty good size. This one does have a few pages, so it's a little bit bigger. The other thing that I did on this was kind of a checkerboard and then a scalloped border. So it's got two borders on it that make it just a little bit bigger. It also makes it have a lot more pieces. So I think if you are just starting out for quilting, I would maybe go with one of my other patterns, like the new Chicks on the Block pattern, or a couple that I'm about to mention here in a minute. The fabric that I used for this was called Nest by Lella Boutique. She makes beautiful lines of fabric. I doubt if you can get the Nest line anymore, but of course she is always releasing new lines, and they are all absolutely beautiful. So I'm sure you could find something if you like her style. The background that I used on this is my standard Moda Bella Solid 9900-97. It's a nice creamy white. This one is so much fun and I love pulling it out every year. Our next quilt is called Sweet Pea. It's this one right here on the ladder behind me. This is probably one of my favorite quilts to make. These flowers are adorable, and I did just do a tote bag using the tulip on here. It is so cute. It hasn't released yet. Stay tuned for that because it is coming soon. It's going to be so much fun, and it will be a tutorial here on YouTube. Here is what the entire sweet pea looks like up close. I did a really cute sashing, and it's just got these ginormous flower blocks. This one finishes at 72 by 91, so it's a really good size quilt. For this quilt, I used a line by Lella Boutique. Again, this is called Lollipop Garden. It was a really fun springy line. It had a little bit of purple in it, and as you'll notice as we're going here, I don't use purple in a whole lot of my quilts. It's almost like a mauve-y purple. So I actually did really enjoy it, and I thought it made a cute accent for the sashing strips. So this line was really fun. And again, this is another quilt that's really easy to resize because you're making two different blocks. You've got that larger flower block, and then you have the tulip block, and you can adjust those however you want, make however many you want, and resize this quilt very easily. I did very simple borders on this. The border that I used is a newspaper print from Pam Kitty Morning by Lake House Dry Goods Fabrics, and this actually is one of probably my all-time favorite prints. It's very subtle, but it's really cute. I don't think she's making fabric anymore, so that's kind of unfortunate because her fabric lines were so pretty, but I just thought it was a nice little added touch to this quilt. It increased the size of it and just added a little bit of extra, but without being too overpowering. I used an aqua print pinstripe for the backing. I love pinstripe fabrics, just so cozy and cuddly and so much fun. And then I did an aqua binding on it. This quilt was actually put out in 2019, and I forgot to label it, so I should probably add a label to it, especially since it's like the original sweet pea. Probably should do that at some point. But anyways, this is really fun. It's a very popular quilt. The blocks finish quite large. I don't remember exactly, but I think they're almost 16 inches square, so they're huge blocks. Great for beginners. There's lots of wiggle room in these blocks, so you don't have to be super precise, and you can just have a lot of fun with this. So again, that is sweet pea. So my next quilt is called Cozy Cabin. This was a free tutorial here on YouTube, but you can also get the pattern if you want as well. This features jelly roll, so super easy to make. It finishes at 62 by 62, and it just uses one Moda jelly roll. You can also use fat quarters for this, and then you just need like 1.5 yards of background fabric, and you're good to go. And I do have cutting instructions in the pattern to show you how to cut a jelly roll if you're going to use that, or how to cut a fat quarter, which is super handy because these log cabin blocks are so easy to put together, and it's perfect for your scraps. So you can kind of mix and match whatever you have. This particular one was a jelly roll called Catalina by Fig Tree. It was so much fun, and actually it reminds me of a new line that they're coming out with right now called Fruit Cocktail. That is available right now, and the colors are very, very similar. So if you like this look, I would definitely suggest checking out their Fruit Cocktail line. For the background on this, I used a Lori Holt print. It's another one of her cross background prints. This one has really light brown crosses on it. I thought it matched really well with the Catalina jelly roll. Looks super cute. Of course, I did add a label to this as well. This is from my Sweetwater collection, and I actually am a subscription member for their tag subscription. That's where I get all of my personalized labels, but you can also get them on Etsy as well. There's a lot of different sellers out there that will personalize labels for you, and actually I'm getting ready. I need to order some more smaller ones because not all of my projects are big like this, and I'd like to be able to label my smaller projects as well. I used a Fig Tree print for the back, and then I used that red gingham for the binding. This quilt is really easy to make, super beginner friendly, so if you are new to quilting, I would highly recommend the Cozy Cabin pattern, and then you can also check out that video here on YouTube as well. I also wanted to share another version of that I made. This is a line called Apple Bloom by Tilda Fabrics. If you have not checked out Tilda before, definitely look at their fabrics. They are absolutely beautiful. This Apple Bloom line is probably one of my all-time favorite lines from them. It's just so pretty. So if you haven't before, definitely check out the Tilda fabric. It's got like a vintage feel to it, but it's still bright, fun colors. And I couldn't get enough of the Apple Bloom line, so I did have to use a different print for the back of it. I believe it's still a Tilda fabric, and I apologize, I don't remember what it's called, but it's not the one that I wanted to use. I do remember that. And then for the binding, I actually used all of my strips of fabric scraps from making the quilt. And so I have a nice scrappy binding that goes around it as well, just to use up all of those yummy scraps. So I just wanted to share it with you so you could see two different versions of the Cozy Cabin quilt. You can really, I think a Christmas version would be beautiful. I think a patriotic version, of course, would be beautiful. So you can really have a lot of fun with log cabin quilts. And like I said, the pattern features jelly roll cutting instructions and fat quarter cutting instructions. And of course, you can always use your scraps as well. And while we're talking about Tilda and log cabin quilts, I wanted to share a quilt that doesn't really get a whole lot of screen time. This is one of my very first quilt patterns. This is called Garden Party. And what my vision for it was to be like looking out a window and just seeing a beautiful garden full of colorful flowers. So I named it Garden Party. And I actually used Tilda lines for this as well, a variety of Tilda florals. It's really pretty, but really what it is, it's a log cabin block and then cut up into pieces, and I just added some sashing to it. So it looks like little window blocks, but it's really easy and fast to put together. The backing on this is also a Tilda print. This is from that Apple Bloom collection that I just mentioned. And then my binding, I did another scrappy binding because whenever I'm doing these strip quilts, you always end up with extra strips that you ended up not using in your blocks, and I hate to waste those. So I just put them all together. So I have a nice fun scrappy binding that matches all of the beautiful colors in this quilt. This one finishes at 58 by 76, but again, it would be super easy to adjust the size of this quilt just by adding another row of blocks. You can use either fat quarters or jelly roll strips for this as well. So this is a great stash buster, and if you are a new quilter, this is another one of my very beginner friendly quilts. Like I said, you're really just making a log cabin and then cutting it up and adding some extra sashing to it. So this one is Garden Party. I wanted to feature it because it is very springy and summery and fun, super beginner friendly, and I don't think I've showed it for quite a while on our channel. The next quilt that I want to feature is called CherBerry. It features really fun cherry and strawberry blocks. It is so much fun. This is what it looks like. It's called CherBerry. It finishes at 62 by 76, and I used a beautiful line by Brenda Riddle called Ambleside. Again, you cannot still get this line, I don't think, but she's always putting out beautiful lines. She's got a really kind of soft pastel-y color palette usually, and so her fabric is so pretty. So I'm sure she has something new that you could definitely use for this. I actually made two versions of this quilt. I made this adorable pink and green version, which is so fun. It's actually one of my faves. And then I also made a red, white, and blue version as well. That one I'll show in my patriotic quilt trunk show because I will be doing another one of those as well coming soon, so stay tuned for that. I used a really pretty green floral for the background on this, and then kind of a raspberry gingham. It's probably one of my favorite ginghams of all time. I love the raspberry color. It's pinky red. Oh, it's so much fun. And so it was perfect for this quilt. So this is CherBerry. And our last quilt we're going to feature today is called Jellyroll Jamboree. You've probably seen this one as well. It is a free tutorial here on YouTube. Jellyroll Jamboree finishes at 76 by 76. And of course, like it says in the name, it uses a jelly roll, and it actually uses a full jelly roll. You won't have any scraps left over aside from 4 little strips that you can use to do a pillow, a matching pillow. And that is also a free tutorial here on YouTube. So if you're interested in these, you can just search for Jellyroll Jamboree quilt and Jellyroll Jamboree pillow, and you will see. This one was hard for me to make because I actually opened up one of my long hoarded jelly rolls called Scrumptious by Bonnie and Camille. Scrumptious is actually the line of fabric that got me into quilting. I remember seeing a quilt made out of it and I thought, oh my gosh, these are such fun, beautiful colors. I really want to give this a try. And at the time I didn't realize that Scrumptious was an out of print line from Bonnie and Camille. And if any of you guys have been fans of theirs, which you probably are, you'll know that anything out of print from them can be kind of pricey. So I happened to come upon this jelly roll and it was a reasonable price, so I bought it and it was sitting in my stash for quite a while. But I finally decided it was time to open that jelly roll and enjoy it in quilt format, and I'm very glad I did because now I have a beautiful quilt to look at. I can snuggle under it, hang it on my couch, display it on my quilt ladders, and just enjoy it instead of having it sitting on my shelf. So I'm glad I opened it. So this is your PSA that if you've been hoarding a beautiful little pile of fabric, time to get it out and make something amazing with it. And then the last thing that I'd like to feature here is my quilt ladder. So I've had a lot of questions about these ladders. I did do a tutorial for them here on YouTube. I've made all of my quilt ladders mainly because they're cheap and easy and fast to make, and then you can of course paint them any color that you like. I used Annie Sloan chalk paint for most of mine. So I've got a pink one here behind me, I've got an aqua one, I also have a white one. Did I give my white one to my mom? I might only have 2 now because I think I gave one to my mom, and I had originally had it white. She wanted something that fit her house a little bit more, so I painted it a really nice kind of distressed brown color. The Annie Sloan chalk paint is really fun to work with, and you can kind of change the look of it based on mixing colors. You can add a clear wax or a dark wax, and that can also change the vibe of your piece as well. So this one is called I'll put it on the screen because I can't remember the exact pink. It's like an antique pink or something like that. I'll put it on the screen for you. It's a little bit whitewashed for me, so I might actually repaint this because I think for my sewing room I want something a little bit brighter and cheerier. But one cool thing with the Annie Sloan chalk paint is it dries very, very quickly, and then when you put that clear, I put a clear wax on this one, it just seals all of that paint, so it, it makes it just like a sealed piece of furniture. So it's really easy and fast to work with. And then this one back here was kind of an aqua color from them. So I'll try and see if I can find the colors I used on these two. And then the other one I used was called Antique White. But you can check out those tutorials here on YouTube. All right, so that is going to be my spring quilt trunk show. Stay tuned for a patriotic quilt trunk show coming soon because I have a lot of fun patriotic patterns. I want to share those with you as well. And then don't forget to mark your calendars for our annual sale coming soon. Again, it's May 22nd through the 26th, 2023. It's the only time of year that we do the sales. You get 30% off. Everything's already marked in the store, so you don't need a coupon code. And then if you buy 2 or more items from the same category, like 2 quilt patterns or 2 preschool curriculum things, you get an extra 10% off for a total of 40% off. So don't miss out on that. And that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to thumbs up and subscribe. You can also hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming fun. Thanks for joining me today, and I will see you next time. I think the green is from Fig Tree. Is it? I'll try and do shots outside again. That's how I broke my arm. But here you can see that I did that kind of, whoa. What did I use? Lala Boutique. What is that called? Brown cross, or what's it called? Pebble? No. Gray cross.